Hey, all you creatures of the night out there. This is Mike on the mic, coming to you live from WRPM, your best choice for 80s rock, pop, and metal. Get it? RPM, rock, pop, metal? Anyway, it's Metal Monday here on WRPM. You know what that means. All metal, all day. That's right. Our next 20-minute continuous rock block is brought to you by Barnaby's Grocery Store. Barnaby's, shop till you drop. You'll hear head-banging hits from bands like Metallica, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Manowar. We're going to start things off with a little bit of Slayer. Rain in Blood. Okay, I'm not really a DJ, there is no WRPM, and there's no music playing. It's just something I do to entertain myself. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm the new grocery manager here at Barnaby's. Unfortunately, the previous grocery manager was killed in that freak storm a couple of months ago, but that's a different story. May he rest in peace. Anyway, my dream job is to be a radio DJ. Not the kind that you see in clubs, at parties or wedding receptions. An actual radio DJ. I know with today's modern technology and apps like Pandora, iHeartRadio and Google Play you can be your own DJ. But still, that's what I want to do. So as I said before, I'm new here. I was hired just as they were getting ready to restock the shelves for the re-grand opening. I used to work at one of those big-name grocery stores, but I got tired of being a trained monkey. They would tell us what products to put where, what displays to build, when to take them down, and what time you had to get it all done by. It was way too micromanaged. But here at Barnaby's I get to think for myself and use my brain a little. I like that. I'm not the only newbie here. There's Ryan, he replaced Tommy who finally got his RN license and is now working full-time and more at the local hospital, so I've heard. There's Justin. He replaced Jimmy, who finally got his dream job of working at ASPCA full-time, like he always wanted. There's a bunch of new deli workers, cashiers, produce helpers and stock crew. We were all in orientation together. That was the most boring 5 hours of my life. Then there's the new assistant manager, Catherine. She says to call her Kitty, but that's a different story again. Stephen told me that the old assistant manager fell in love with one of the carnies from the carnival last year and ran off to join the circus. Anyway, now let me tell you the new assistant manager could manage me any day. Apparently she's really good friends with Mr. Barnaby. Lucky man. I think she's the previous owner of this property, but that's another different story. I was talking to her the other day whilst trying not to drool on myself, and she said that since she had people to run her theatre, she thought that she would help Mr. Barnaby out for a little while, even though the whole Indian burial ground thing still freaks her out. What Indian burial ground thing, I thought. With just one look at this place, you can tell that Barnaby's is a very old store. We don't have any of those big metal gondolas to display our products like the big name stores do. For those of you that don't know what a gondola is, it's a large metal fixture with adjustable shelving on both sides that's used in grocery stores and department stores. Well, basically any store that has products to be displayed. They are usually placed side by side in rows about 10 feet apart and bolted together, as well as being bolted to the floor, thus creating aisle 1, aisle 2, and so on and so on. Well anyway, like I said, we don't have any of those. We have large freestanding bookcases that are placed back to back, side by side, creating the aisles. They are bolted together too, but not to the floor, which makes no sense to me. So let me tell you what happened a few days ago at the re-grand opening. I'll pass this on to Mr. Barnaby the next time I see him. Now this place was looking sharp, thanks to the new investors. They completely funded the project to rebuild this place back to the way it was, including all the antique registers, cold cases, freezers, lighting, floors, all of it. That's what Winston told me anyway. He's a church guy, so I don't think he'd lie. The new investors are a pair of brothers from New York. They have a bunch of associates that follow them everywhere. They built a rather large room off of the back of the store with a private entrance on the side and a door in the back room. No one, and I mean no one that works here, not even Mr. Barnaby, is allowed in that room, unless you know the password, and there's always the same big, fat, refrigerator-looking guy with no neck standing at the door. Yeah, the kind of guy that you wouldn't want to meet alone in a dark alley. So I think I have an idea as to what they're doing back there. I'm not stupid. This place was looking sharp. The floors were shining, the shelves were full. At least they looked like they were. It's something that people in the grocery business call fronting, but that's not important. We had a huge banner hanging right above the front entrance with the words "Re-Grand Opening" on it. Candy was in the merchandising booth outside giving away free t-shirts and keychains to the first 500 customers. We even had an actual radio DJ broadcasting the live event. I was so jealous. He let me do a live commercial spot and said he'd talk to the station manager about me. So that was cool. It's a country station, but you gotta start somewhere, right? Anyway, there were balloons and streamers everywhere. Deli and produce were giving out free samples, and Jim from the meat room was outside grilling up hamburgers and hot dogs to sell to the customers. Breyers even donated 300 gallons of ice cream. They had a huge refrigerator truck set up on the side of the store giving free ice cream away. It was mid-July, about 90 degrees outside. This place was packed. Mr. Barnaby was standing just inside the front door greeting customers as they walked in, like a Walmart greeter would do. I was walking around asking customers if I could help them find anything, as was the rest of my crew. The investor brothers weren't even there. Mr. Barnaby said they'd gone to New York to pick up supplies. Right. Anyway, everyone was having a great time, until suddenly all the lights went out. There were a few seconds of total darkness before the security lights came on. Little kids started screaming and crying as their parents tried to desperately calm them down and leave the store. There was barely enough light to see your hand in front of your face. Mr. Barnaby, myself, and other employees started moving the customers up to the front of the store for checkout before the backup generators lost power as well. I checked the bathrooms for any lingering customers. That was a bad idea. I walked in and saw an old Native American guy in full headdress staring at the side wall in the handicap store. He was glowing. "What the hell?" I said to myself. He turned to look at me and our eyes met. My vision started to get really blurry. I shook my head and blinked a couple of times and he was gone. Vanished. Into thin air. What the hell just happened? I thought. My mind raced back to the conversation I had with Catherine, where she'd mentioned the Indian burial ground thing. I started freaking out. "You mean this place is haunted?" I screamed like a little girl and ran out of the bathroom. As I did, a foul stench in the air hit my nose and stopped me dead in my tracks. It smelled like rotten potatoes, nasty butt crack, and death all mixed together. I had to count backwards from 10 just to stop myself from throwing up. In the dim light, I could see several employees and customers begin to vomit on each other. Several fights broke out because of it. People were throwing punches and vomiting at the same time. It was so disgusting, but in a cool way it looked like a cross between Rocky and The Exorcist. I stood there watching the fights. We're trained not to interfere, so I just stood there. After about 10 minutes, I couldn't stand the smell any longer and started to walk fast towards the front doors, trying not to get hit or puked on in the process. I soon realized I was walking in water. I looked down and it wasn't just water. It was this nasty brown, slimy liquid with chunks of sludge that looked like crap, to be honest. And it was literally crap. That must be where the smell is coming from, I thought. The sewage pipes must have burst and it's now seeping up through the floor. I raised my head to see it quickly raising up through the tiles. All the fighting stopped as customers and employees realized what was happening and started screaming and running to the front door. They began slipping and falling about in the mess. They were covered in sludge and slime and little pieces of toilet paper. You can call me a sick person if you want, but I thought it was hilarious. Suddenly we could all hear a low rumbling that intensified with every second that passed. The floor began to shake violently, knocking over the bookcases and causing them to fall like dominoes, crushing anyone that was in the aisles. A loud bang could be heard as the floor burst open under what was aisle 6, sending this foul brown liquid gushing into the air like a water fountain and pieces of broken shelving flying through the air like torpedoes. One guy got hit with a chunk of wood right between the eyes. He kind of looked like a unicorn. Yes, my friends, it was raining crap, soaking everyone and everything in sight. Anyway, myself and a few others finally made it out the front door, completely soaked. Mr. Barnaby was the last one out, as he said a captain never leaves his crew behind. The cops, the EMTs, the coroner, and the hazardous waste team were just arriving at the same time, which I found very odd. They had to wait until the fountain of crap had died down to enter the building. The sewage was coming out from under the front door and out into the street. The hazardous waste team began pushing it back with large brooms. They made everyone that had survived take one of those chemical killing shower thingies. I think they're called decon showers. I'm not really sure. The cops taped off the area as the EMTs tended to the injured. The hazardous waste team suited up in their hazmat suits and went inside to look for survivors. There weren't any. The hazmat team started carrying out bodies in special hazardous waste body bags. There was 9 of them in total. The coroner loaded up the bodies and left, and so did the EMTs. The cops took our statements and started their investigation. Mr. Barnaby, myself, and a few employees and customers hung around to see them clean it up. The hazmat team called in their tanker truck to suck up all the sewage. They had this long hose-like thing connected to the truck. One guy was in charge of walking around in his suit, sucking it all up. Man, they couldn't pay me enough to do that crap. They get it all cleaned up, then began to rip out everything within the store that had come in contact with the mess, which was pretty much every single thing. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, all the cases, the bookshelves, everything down to the frame. Barnaby's has been completely gutted. All the packaged foods and fresh products were thrown away, and the canned goods were donated to the local food bank. We had to take the labels off, of course, and write on the can in black Sharpie what was inside. It took 4 days to complete everything. My brother-in-law Chris is a plumber. Mr. Barnaby hired him to fix the pipes. He did it for free and made me help him. It was so disgusting. Chris found 2 reasons why the pipes had got clogged up and caused the eruption. The first one was when the Investor brothers had rebuilt this place, they'd used 3-inch piping instead of continuing to use the 6-inch that was used in the original build. They put the 2 pipes together using a 6x3 coupling just to save money. Idiots. The second reason was there was about 20 human fingers, toes, and ears stuck at the base of the coupling, like someone had cut them off and flushed them down the toilet to get rid of evidence. I wonder who that could have been. Yeah, right. Anyway, before I forget, these brothers were busted by the feds just outside of Brooklyn with £10,000 of supplies in the trunk of their car. They're now serving 25 to life in federal prison. Mr. Barnaby started a donation fund to help raise the money to rebuild the store again. We already have close to $50,000 raised. If you would like to make a donation, no amount is too small. Please call 1-800-BARNABYS and press option 2 for donations. Oh yeah, the DJ we had covering the re-grand opening did a live play-by-play as it all went down. He got promoted to the big league station in Cincinnati because of it. Bet you can't guess which one. The station manager just called me, and guess who is replacing him? That's right, me. I start tomorrow. So this is Mike on the mic signing off. In closing, I would like to remind you that 2 wrongs do not make a right, but 3 rights does make a left. Think about it. Good night, everybody.